Hello, everybody. My name is Blake Wright with Central Valley Charter Schools, and you're listening to your Transition Podcast. So I hope everybody enjoyed their winter break and got to spend some much deserved time off with their family and or friends. And you know what? A big ol' Happy New Year to everyone listening. It's crazy to think that I haven't talked to you guys since last year. I can't help it. I'm the type of person who always says, like, see you next year on New Year's Eve. So it's just who I am. I can't help it with the cheesy jokes. For today's episode, we're going to keep it a little shorter, short and sweet for everybody. And I want to quickly kind of preview some things to expect from the podcast to wrap up our second half of our school year and talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions. It's about that time of year, right? So we've loved having all of you along for our year 2 on this podcast, and your support has really shined through. We have so many awesome things that we have coming up, including more interviews with some absolutely amazing people, one of which might be kind of a twist on our normal setup. We'll see. So keep on tuning in. And also on deck are topics like career and college readiness, maybe some more SEL, which is that social emotional learning. If you want to learn more about that, we have a podcast, amazing interview with Dr. Mitch. Check that out. It's incredible. And then maybe even some tips on maybe like how to maintain healthy relationships and more. So keep tuning in and you'll keep getting all of our amazing PACE podcast content. All right. So here in the PACE podcast studios, we always strive to give you guys, our listeners, the absolute very best. And we're constantly trying to improve and find what we can do better for our listeners. And you can kind of call it our New Year's resolution. Every year, this is our goal. I'm going to say every year. This is year 2. So each year, it's been our goal to improve for you guys. And speaking of which, I know that it is the time to start making these resolutions. And so what I wanted to share with you is a little bit, some tips and some ideas about making New Year's resolutions and keeping them. So sometimes our resolutions can be big, lofty goals, right? And sometimes they can just be minor adjustments to our daily lives, maybe to improve it or to change it a little bit. Regardless of what we have set out for ourselves in this new year to accomplish, there are a few ways we can kind of tackle these things in a manageable way. So I'm just going to hop right into it, right? Again, kind of a shorter podcast, start the new year off quick, easy, and yeah, give you some time to go. Maybe a resolution is to check out more of our podcasts, and I think that'd be a great idea. So go ahead. Anyway, so one of the first things we want to do with our resolutions, hopping into it, is maybe we'd like to write it down so we can plan it and track it. So here we're going to want to take some time to prepare and write down our resolution, maybe even plan it out. This is going to be our first step towards committing to this goal. Because let's be real, if you can't, or if we don't want to take the time to just sit and write it down and kind of plan this out, even just a quick outline, are we really going to want to follow through with a lot of those harder parts? Maybe not. So let's go ahead and take a moment, be honest with ourselves, and figure out our resolution that we can write down, plan, and maybe even find a way to track it, whether it's a checklist or maybe alarms or something like that, so we can keep track of this. So going into my next tip here is just to, sometimes, like I said before, we have lofty goals, but sometimes maybe it's better to start small, maybe more specific and realistic, right? So if we want to cut out something entirely out of our routine, maybe we're going to start small. Maybe we want to take it a day at a time. Now, maybe the end goal is to have it cut out entirely, but remember, we have 12 months to do this. So maybe the first month is 1 day out, and then we go up to a few days out of our routine, and then we keep building on that. It doesn't need to be cut out from the get-go and all the way throughout the year. We can ease into it. This way we can kind of really build momentum as well, and we can obtain these goals a lot more realistically. So before you know it, come at the end of the year, we might have achieved our goal, which is really important part. And I'm gonna mention this again, is just these are a year's resolution. It's not a January, a new month's resolution, right? These go out throughout the year. So it's a long term, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So just to keep that in mind. A third tip that I'm gonna give you is to get support. And what that means is we can talk to our friends or our family, maybe even our coworkers, about our resolutions, and listen to what maybe they want to accomplish. Maybe those things line up. Maybe we can support each other. Perhaps I tell a friend and they have the same goal as me, and we can work to get through that together. And talk through with them what works for you already in areas that you might need help. Maybe it's just a reminder. Maybe we're forgetful. I know sometimes I forget a lot. So sometimes having somebody just remind me, hey, did you do this today? Oh, no, I didn't. I need to get on that. Kind of keep you there and to hold you accountable. And speaking of holding you accountable, I know for me, it's always better, like if I had a fitness oriented goal, it's always better to do that with someone, because then you have each other to hold each other accountable. You have a set time to go to the gym once a week, right? And maybe it's pretty easy to talk yourself out of it, but if your friend's going and you didn't really want to go, but your friend's going, well, I have to go. They're going, I gotta go too. So you can support each other in that manner. Another way we can achieve our goal is through giving ourselves some time. So I kind of mentioned this already, and this is a huge one, because certain goals, especially habit changing goals and resolutions, will take a lot of time to take root. So you don't want to be discouraged if we're not hitting that goal in the first month or even 2 months. Or if we even hit a setback, maybe we start one day taking something out of our routine like sweets, and then we get to 3 days, and then, we only go 2 days in that week. That's okay. We just have to give ourselves time to change this. We have all year to get to our goal. So again, giving ourselves time. And then finally, at the end here, we're just going to go ahead and give ourselves a break as well. And what that means is go easy on yourself. Nobody says that we have to accomplish these things, right? Our resolutions are kind of meant to be fun and cool ways to kind of improve our lives or ourselves, things that we recognize within our lives that we're like, this would be nice if I was better at this, right? And giving yourself that grace to accomplish these things is really important. We don't need to tear ourselves down if we don't complete these goals either. So keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, it takes 21 days for an activity to just become a habit in general. That's almost an entire month right there. So if we're struggling if we don't see this as a permanent fixture in our lives after a month, that's probably why, because it's just not realistic. It makes it a habit that way. And then beyond that, it takes almost 6 months for these things to become a daily part of your routine. So let that kind of sink in there. It takes 21 days for something to become a habit and 6 months for it to become a good, steady part of your daily routine. Does that sound like something we could do in a month or two? Probably not, right? So we got to give ourselves a break. Give yourself some grace. Be patient with yourself and know this is a new year's resolution, right? So maybe going back to that first one, we're going to write it down and outline an easy, quick 12-month guideline to be able to give ourselves some grace and accomplish our goals at a realistic, timely manner. And that way, come next year, hopefully we've established that through these tips, and then we can build on it. Maybe we want to further this year's goal next year, or maybe we did such a good job, we wanted to do something completely different. So there we have it. I hope you all have a wonderful new year. 2023 is going to be amazing. I just know it. And I hope some of these tips help if you're out there making New Year's resolutions. And it's gonna be a great one. And again, hey, if you don't have a New Year's resolution, maybe make it one to listen to more of your Pace podcasts, right? That's an easy one. It's fun. It's great. We're all here, and the best way to do that is to subscribe to our school's channel. So get on it. Like it, subscribe, watch all our videos. There's so many amazing interviews and content that we have for you. So I love to be back here with everyone, and let's make it a great year. All right. This has been your Transition Podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Happy New Year, everybody.